Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Digital Publishing Summit 2023. My name is Gauthier. I am project manager for the EDRLab. Today, we have Ken Jones, CEO of Circular Software, joining us for a session on no-code accessibility for InDesign. Ken Jones will address the challenge faced by typesetters, book publishers, and content creators in creating accessible publication without the necessary tools. This session will provide unique visual tools and no-code method for adding reading order, managing image description, and much more. Remember, this session is recorded and EDRLab members will receive a written synthesis. Feel free to ask any question in the Q&A box. Thanks once again to our sponsor, Iridium, Glassbox, AudioBoost, and The Mark for their support, and to Fondazione, who collaborated on the event accessibility sessions in the framework of GitHub. I'm now giving the floor to Ken Jones. Enjoy your session.
Thank you very much. Hopefully you can see and hear me. I'm going to share my screen now. And hopefully we're ready to go. Hello, I'm Ken Jones from Circular Software. This session is all about no-code accessibility for InDesign. So I thought it was best to start off with InDesign. It's such an industry standard tool that you're probably well aware of Adobe InDesign. Most of the magazines, publications, books that we come across day to day are generated using Adobe's flagship publishing application. InDesign is over 20 years old, and it's really good at print and PDF. I use it every day. I've been training on it for over 10 years, and it's something that we need to be aware of. However, in perhaps 2014, the appetite for digital publishing within InDesign has stagnated. So we are left with a product which has a lot of gaps. Here are some. So we don't have accessibility metadata, which is important to declare how accessible a public EPUB publication is. The reading order, the way that reading order is defined is very clunky, especially in fixed layout. And it's very hard to fight with InDesign to get reading order at all. There are language tag errors in the latest version. I'll mention this perhaps again at the end. There are lots of language tag bugs basically that have been introduced. There's no way to add page lists. So for someone on the E version to turn to the same page as someone using the print version, we need to know what page we are on, and there's no way to do that from InDesign. There are issues with heading hierarchy, knowing that it has been applied, applying it in the first place. Again, with fixed layout, the heading tags just disappear. There are no tools to check our color contrast. So that's something you would struggle with. There's difficulty with introducing sections, another accessibility feature. There are workarounds where you have to start introducing extra objects just as a marker for when we get into our code later to fix. There are table of contents limitations. You have to use InDesign's table of contents to get a table of contents in an ebook. So it's difficult. Difficulty with image descriptions. There are some cases for doing image descriptions, but some ability to do that, but it's clunky, it's hidden away, there's dialog boxes and to find. There's no pre-flight checks for accessibility within InDesign. There's no validation checking, so people make ebooks and they don't know whether or not they are valid. And there's no support for ARIA roles, the more modern way to describe semantically our structure. And that's just some of them. There are 33 issues identified on GitHub. So last year, a team of experts was put together. So people from Daisy, from Penguin Random House, from EDRLab, from Benetech, from LIA, the Italian organization, and also Laura Brady, who's speaking after me, and myself were brought together, and we spoke with Adobe several times in several quite long meetings. And out of those meetings, we provided in GitHub as much information as they could possibly need or want. A GitHub repository with code examples, with exact details of what it is that is required. And Gregorio and Laura did great work on this, and it's there in that public repository, and there it sits. There's not much activity. You can see these things were done over a year ago. So last year, there's a habit of InDesign introducing a new version every year, and that happens at their flagship event, Adobe Max. And InDesign over the last few years has had very little in terms of features added. And in 2023, the version of InDesign that we have for this year had one attempt at a change from that list of 33. It was the easiest one, and they got it wrong, and it made things worse. So we're in a real state with InDesign. I've written an article about this. Adobe, we have a problem. I believe that InDesign is not fit for purpose for accessible EPUB publications, and it's clear to me that Adobe are not going to do this vital work. So that leaves the question, how can publishers be required to create accessible publications if they don't have the necessary tools to make them? You can't say we must have page lists if there isn't a way to make page lists. And if we have to find a script, perhaps pay for it, then do some complex coding, that is the state that we're at. It's my firm belief that InDesign users are not coders. They need to stay in InDesign. You wouldn't expect them to open a PDF and start coding parts of that. In the same way, we can't expect publishers, designers, typesetters, editors to be opening and fixing the errors that are left in the EPUBs from InDesign. But I've been working hard. I think I have the answer. So I work for Circular Software, and our strapline is InDesign better. So hashtag InDesign better. So Circular Software has addressed this problem. Specifically, I'm talking today about accessibility. And you may have heard of Circular Software. A lot of people call it CircularFLO because that is one of our products and it's well known in this space. But there are some other tools that Circular Software really bring together to tackle this problem. And I'm going to show you a little bit about how we do this. There are lots of tools. Over 100 unique tools have been created over the years for lots of things to do with adding read aloud. Our previous session was very interesting. So we've had tools to add read aloud to InDesign exported EPUBs for many years. Let me show you just one of these panels. So the accessibility tools that are in Circular Software has specific tools that work alongside InDesign to easily define our reading order, to add, to amend, and to automatically try and predict the reading order, to add structure and page lists, so those page markers are automatically just added. The structure, we can tag the tops of our pages to say where the sections would be. To manage image descriptions, I'm going to show you a little bit later on an example of how that can be done in a lot smarter and more automatic way. To add the necessary metadata, it's just another panel that we add. It's predefined, but you can go in and say and declare how accessible your publication is. And And also some extra tools in this panel to analyze the export tags that have been applied and the contrast on our text on our documents. So let me show you that one first. So color contrast, whilst we're still in InDesign on the page, we can just select a text frame or a selection of text frames and check whether the contrast is good. So that's not rocket science, but it's really nice to keep people in the tool that they're used to in InDesign and to automatically convert what is probably a CMYK color from a print document to the right ingredients needed, so then go and check that with an online checker and bring the results back. This is sort of how it works. It gives you a couple of paragraphs of information, but if you want more information or to open the results in a file to send to someone else, perhaps that can be done. So that's just a quick, nice tool that's just sitting there for free in CircularFLO. Heading levels. So this one is also a visual tool, so you're getting the idea of perhaps how the approach is to visually put a stripe of color against the headings or the paragraphs. So the paragraphs are in blue, the headings and using the color of the rainbow. So heading 1, heading 2, heading 3, you can see if they have been applied and if they have, where they have been applied. So these are just buttons to apply and to remove these visual markers. Reading order. So in the research for introducing these, I found that reading order is probably as important as image description. Everyone thinks of image description as the thing that we need to do, and we certainly need to consider that. But the reading order also really is vital, because if we don't have the reading order correctly identified, then there's not much point having a well-described image if it's lost in a tangle of content. So the reading order, this is an example of using one of the tools. So I'm actually dragging an area on the page and also selecting a text frame on the page with these tools. And you can see, hopefully, that it's putting a number to indicate the order of the reading. And so the InDesign user is making a decision whilst still in InDesign of, should the image be before the text? What order should this be read in? Also, a lot of the illustrated publishers that I work with are in the habit of making a beautiful illustrated double page spread in Photoshop and then plonking, I don't know if that's a technical term, introducing that to the spread and then typing over with text in InDesign. So we're left with really a very large image, and in this case this is just the right hand page. The left hand page also needed to be created. So these tools are allowing us to mark regions on the page, which can then be used for both reading order and for navigation. Image descriptions. So I want to introduce you to my friend Sid. So SID stands for Simple Image Description Database. So a much more refined and expandable and getting images out of the page to a specialist, the author or an image researcher, or somebody who has a specialist's service to provide image descriptions, is something that I've decided that we needed to support. So SID is just that. So it's using Masterplan. So Masterplan is a circular software tool to put your publications onto the web. It's a secure service, and here's a little screenshot of the publication I was just working on. It's a Pan Macmillan publication, and the spread that I was just marking up in InDesign is also shown to you as being on Masterplan. So if you think about it, we've got the location and the position of the regions on the page. This works with images, straight image frames too. But also we've got the graphics in high quality from that same page. So by marrying the two up, we have the location and the graphic and we can put it into SID. So this is the SID description editor. It's an online platform, I suppose. It's using Airtable, which is free to use. There is a template which is freely available too. And in this view, we get a lovely, clean, high quality view of the page or the image from the page. There's a link right down the bottom, says get context from publication. So we can go back and see where that image is actually used in the full spread. So as I've learned, the best way to describe images is to be aware of their context. So having it described in situ is very valuable. So the alt text and also extended description can be edited here, and this is writing it straight into a secure and robust and scalable database. And we have a lovely way to just navigate through the document, and somebody else can do this if there is someone better suited than the InDesign user to create these. Okay, so on this next slide, I'm clicking a button, and that is pulling in those descriptions from the database and applying them to all of the images, 36 images in this short book. And they've been applied straight into the document. Again, as you can see, we have, along with the reading order, the actual image descriptions are very visually applied on top of the image. It's easy to switch them off, but it's also very good to be able to see them and perhaps share them with other people so they can see the image descriptions that are being added to the page along with the reading order. Adding sections and page markers. So this is just a quick flick through some pages, and you can see those sort of signposts at the top saying what type of section is in this book. It's also a metadata panel there and a table of contents panel there, as you can see fly by. So we're staying in InDesign and we're very visually working to introduce sections. Once this work has been done, then we need to check that the work has been done correctly. So we offer over 100 tools to help people make better InDesign better. But also then we want to check them. So this is where GreenLight comes in. So GreenLight is a tool that's been used for many years by some large print publishers to ensure that their publications are print ready. So it can introduce specific checks, such as, are the images and a certain layer? Has the document been named in a certain way? So it's very bespoke, but also it's the ideal place for adding these extra accessibility checks. So this is an example of some of the checks that we have, over 100 checks, there you go, in GreenLight and with Circular software. So with the checks individually created, we pull them together into checklists, and these can be specific to a person, to a document, to a publisher, to a type of publication, and we run these within InDesign, and we get a report placed in InDesign, and we see where we have some issues, and if we do have issues, then we get more information about that at the time that we need it. So there are already fixed layout, reflowable EPUB checklists. We need to check things slightly differently for those things. I'm also working with other people who know more about accessible PDF to suggest checks for PDF and also for print, because there are accessibility considerations that we might want to introduce in our print. And this is the idea that we reveal and explain. So this is just a screenshot where the paragraph safety first has been highlighted on the page. It's also in the dialog. It says the selected paragraph has a problem with the heading order. This paragraph uses an H3 tag, so it's a heading level 3, and it's preceded by an H1 tag. So strictly speaking, that shouldn't happen. There should be an H2 before you jump to an H3. So it takes you to the issue and it gives you a brief summary, and then it also gives you a link to more information, and that would take you back to the site to show you an article all about explaining what this is and what we need to do to fix it. So once we've got our document well made and checked that it is well made, then we can control the export. So this is where CircularFLO tool comes in, and we can decide how to export the document in the best way, but then also tidy up what we get from InDesign. So we're still using InDesign, both for print, for PDFs, and for digital, for EPUBs, but we're manipulating and then sort of fixing. So the same things that you might want to, or not want to, you might need to have to do at the moment with manual coding, that's taken care of by automatic export. And then to check finally that what has been done correctly. So we get we pass to Pagina EPUB checker to make sure we've got valid EPUB. And also we use Ace by Daisy and pop open a report to check that we haven't got any problems there. Believe it, this is ready now and it works. So there's been many years of research and development to get to this point, and I'm very proud that it's something that I can share with you. And it does work. So this is an example of a photography book. It's a big old book. There is over 600 images and 384 pages. This was made to a fixed layout EPUB 3 and to WCAG A. And it was exported straight from Circular software, no coding required. It has the reading order, defined, page list, sections and landmarks, a nested multi-level table of contents, ARIA roles are introduced, the metadata for accessibility is added, and then the image descriptions and captions are dealt with properly. Another issue with InDesign is that the captions don't associate with images, and heading hierarchy has been applied and checked also. Here it is in the lovely Calibrio reader. It's a very visual book, but you know, that sort of publication really benefits from fixed layout if we have a large enough screen. Here's another example. This one, again, a big book, 350 pages. I call it a big book. This one's reflowable, so it's important to say that Circular software is supporting reflowable export, so reflowable EPUB 3 to WCAG AA. This is also made using Circular software, and all of these things were automatically introduced. So page markers, the page list, especially for reflowable, landmarks, a table of contents, again, a multi-level nested table of contents, the ARIA roles for sections, the pages and images, etc. The metadata was added, descriptions were added to images and tables, and the heading hierarchy was also added and checked. I put made with Circular software here because there was a little bit of hand coding in this. This is a live book. I can share the files with you. There is some more complication to do with endnotes in InDesign that was necessitated. It was necessary for me to go in and fix that. Okay, here's an example of that book. So you can see in Calibrio now this nice feature to show visually the page markers. So this is just having a quick look around the book and opening up multi-level table of contents and moving to a chapter. And final example, the Worry Tiger. This is the Pan Macmillan book we were looking at before. This one is a fully illustrated children's storybook, so quite short. This one was fixed layout EPUB 3 to WCAG single A. And again, straight from Circular Software, no code accessibility. So in this one, we established the reading order with the tools. SID image descriptions were applied, sections and landmarks, although there wasn't that many, ARIA roles, accessibility metadata. And in this case, we made two versions, one with live text and one with embedded text. The concept of having text which is in the book, in the correct reading order amongst the image descriptions, but not live, means that the publisher can use fonts that are no longer supported or fonts that they don't have the ebook version for. So that's an option. You don't have to use it, but it's a nice option available if you want to have that. And also in this one, we introduced some of the region navigation. So because we're able to specify areas on the page, we can also use that for region navigation. So that's already in Calibrio Reader and supported. Let's see if we can, this should have audio, hopefully. Let's see. So this is me on a page in Thorium this time, and showing you that.
Rory peeks out from under an oversized leaf speckled with green stars. Rory crept quietly. Rory stepped delicately over a caterpillar near a curling vine. He felt soft, squelchy earth and damp leaves curling between his toes. Up on his toes, Rory skipped to our right, toward a hopping frog and a purple butterfly there. Suddenly he saw.
There you go. You have to buy the book to find out what happens. So hopefully you heard that audio. BandMac then sent this to Benetech, and we got this lovely feedback saying the book reads really, really well in Thorium. The images are well described. It works well with assistive tech. This is a good book for fixed layout and the best that we can do at this point. So I would encourage you to visit our website, or if you've got any questions, now's a good time. Thank you.
Thank you, Ken. So we have, I see, 3 questions actually in the discussion. First one is, what are the costs?
What are the costs? If you're nice to me, then you can, well, if you go to the website, you can see the costs. So the tools in GreenLight are free. Master Plan is also free for the first few, but otherwise it's around $10 a month. And then the cost for creating an ebook is a one-off charge. You can create the ebook as many times as you want. That sounds like I'm doing a sales pitch now. You get an Amazon version as well, and it's between $99 and $199. And then we offer discounts for small publishers. We make it free for students, and we offer volume discounts for large publishers.
Good, that's very clear.
Okay.
The next question is maybe a bit technical. I don't know if you will be able to make a demo of that. Can you show the page list feature in InDesign with Circular?
You know what? There's nothing to see, because you don't have to add anything and you don't have to then do anything. The page list, because InDesign has pages, we know where the pages are and we just identify the page breaks. For fixed layout, it's relatively trivial because each page of a fixed layout is a separate page. But for reflowable, the page markers are just, they're there in the export from CircularFLO.
Yes, thank you. And maybe I think it's possible to try the tools at no cost.
Yeah, so the example of the reflowable one, I can share that again if I find the link, but that's on my LinkedIn. So that's a public document. You could go and have a look at the code of that. I was trying not to talk about code too much because this is a no code approach, but obviously you do need to understand, we need to understand the code in order to create this. And the code is really nicely made. It's well structured, well named, and something I invite you to inspect if you're the sort of person who likes to look at code.
Thank you. Next question is, how can one learn the tool the best and easy way?
Yes, so that is the challenge for this year, is to write step-by-step tutorials. We've done the one for fixed layout, so I can share you a sneak preview of that if you get in contact with me. And then the knowledge base and basically the user guide. There is one that exists, but we're making it a lot better and a lot more interactive and a lot more step-by-step for an update to our website later this year.
Many thanks again, Ken. I see no other question. So everyone in the attendance, if you have more question, it's now. Okay, so I don't see more question. Do you want to say something more, Ken?
I'm at CircularKen on Twitter and Ken at circularsoftware.com on email. I don't like email, but if you want to contact me, please do. Just go to circularsoftware.com if you want more information. And I'm really happy to share what I've got with as many people as possible and try and get it in the hands of people who need it in whatever way we can think of.
Oh, there's, okay. So many thanks, Ken. So we are following up with another session on InDesign and another approach in half an hour. Every one has time for a coffee break.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.